Hare Krishna. Last week we have completed. Any update? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I think we did. The last one is the fourth lesson.
Lesson number 4 from Vaishnava culture.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, fine. I'll just
we completed Vaishnava culture, I think, last meeting.
Totally completing?
Yes,
Yeah.
you completed that, and you said that we will be starting with Ashwavtar.
Okay. Okay, we'll start with the prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurulmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaya Kadamahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hara Haraya Namah Krishnaya Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Govindaya Namaha Sri Krishna Hari Bol Gopala Hari Bol Radha Ramana Govinda Hari Bol Jaya Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Welcome you all to the Bhakti Sadachar course. And today we're going to learn about two avatars. One is Matsya Avatara and second is the Kurma Avatara. Hare Krishna. So before I can start sharing the PPT, I just wanted devotee volunteers to read this part from Srimad Bhagavatam. So who is going to read first? Hare Krishna. Yes, Nigda Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Matsya, the Lord's fish incarnation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself by Shamsha, his personal expansion, and Vivinamsha, his expansion as the living entities. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Paritranaya sadhuna vinasaya cha duskritam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears on the planet for the protection of the sadhus or devotees and for the destruction of the miscreants or non-devotee. He is specially descended to give protection to the cows, the brahmanas, the demigods, the devotee, and the Vedic system of religion. Thus, he appears in various forms, sometimes as a fish, sometimes a boar, sometimes Narsimhadev, sometimes Vamandev, and so on. But in any form of incarnation, although he comes within the atmosphere of material modes of nature, he is unaffected. This is the sign of his supreme controlling power. Although he comes with the material atmosphere, Maya cannot touch him. Therefore, no material qualities can be attributed to him in any degree. Mataji, should I continue?
No, I wanted another devotee to continue.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, any other devotee?
May
Yes.
I, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Once at the end of the previous kalpa, a demon named Hayagriv wanted to take the Vedic knowledge away from Lord Brahma at the time of annihilation. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead took the incarnation of a fish at the beginning of the period of Swayambhuv, Manu, and saved the Vedas. During the reign of Chakshuk Manu, there was a king named Satyavrata, who was a great pious ruler. To save him, the Lord appeared as the fish incarnation for the second time. King Satyavrata later became the son of the sun god and was known as Sradhadeva. He was established as Manu by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes, any other devotee? Hare Krishna.
May I?
Yes, Mataji.
To receive the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, King Satyavrata engaged in the austerity. Actually, in the austerity of subsisting only to drinking water. Once, while performing this austerity on the bank of the Pratamala river and offering oblations of water with the palm of his hand, he found a small fish. The fish appealed to the king for protection, asking the king to keep him in a safe place. Although the king did not know that the small fish was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, as a king, he gave shelter to the fish and kept him in a water jug. The fish, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, wanted to show his potency to King Satyavrata, and thus he immediately expanded his body in such a way that he could no longer be kept in the jug of water. The king then put the fish in a big well, but the well was also too small. Then the king put the fish in a lake, but the lake was also unsuitable. Finally, the king put the fish in the sea, but even the sea could not accommodate him. Thus, the king understood that the fish was no one else but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he requested the Lord to describe his incarnation as a fish. The personality of Godhead, being placed with the king, informed him that within a week there would be an inundation throughout the universe, and the fish incarnation would protect the king along with the rishis. This is rishis, right?
Yes.
Herbs, seeds, and other living entities in a boat, obeisances,
He would be
in a boat,
attached to.
pardon me,
In a boat, which would
in
be
a
attached to.
boat which would be attached to the fish's horn. After saying this, the Lord disappeared. King Satyavrata offered respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord and continued to meditate upon him. In due course of time, annihilation took place, and the king saw a boat coming near. After getting aboard with learned brahmanas and saintly persons, he offered prayers to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and thus he taught Maharaja Satyavrata and the saintly persons about Vedic knowledge from the core of the heart. King Satyavrata took his next birth as Vaivasvata Manu, who is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Viswasvan Manave Praha, the sun god spoke the science of Bhagavad Gita to his son Manu. Because of being the son of
Vivasva.
Vivasvan, this Manu is known as Vivasvata Manu.
Vaivasvata Manu. Okay. Hare Krishna. I think this background is, I hope it is understood by reading this summary of Matsyavatara. Now you will have a better picture when I say about the story. Okay. So this has been taken from 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Pralaya Payodi Jale Dhiratan Asivedan Vihitavahitra Charitam Makhedam Keshavadrita Meena Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So, Keshava, O Lord of Universe, O Hari, who have assumed the form of a fish, all glories to you. You easily acted as a boat in the form of a giant fish, which just now we have read in the paragraph, right? So just to give protection to the Vedas, which has become immersed in the turbulent sea of the devastation. Okay. This is that giant fish, and the Rishi, the Vedas, the living entities, everything is there in this boat, and this has been attached to the horn of this giant fish. This fish is no other than the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Lord Krishna. So actually he appears 2 times, The Lord appears as one fish, incarnation to save the Vedas by killing the Hayagriva, that is one time. And second time, he'll assume the fish incarnation to show the favor to King Satyavrata. So he'll be, he'll come as a small fish. And when Satyavrata is offering prayers and all, he will catch that small fish, and that means that fish will come in his hand in a little bit of water, then he'll transfer it to a bowl and all. Okay. So the first story, first time when Lord appears as a fish is that Lord Brahma, he lost the Vedas, and actually which was stolen by Asura called Hayagriva, and who used to live in the bottom of the ocean. Okay. So since fish is the best form, okay, and animal that lives in the water, and Krishna took that form of a fish to get back the Vedas. So one episode is finished, and second time is that, yeah, Kale Nagata, Kalena gata nidrasya dhatu sisayi sorbali mukhato Vedan Hayagrivonte Harat. So at the end of a Brahma's day, when Brahma felt sleepy and desired to lie down, that happens to anyone. The Vedas were emanating from his mouth, and the great demon called Hayagriva, he will store that Vedic knowledge. So Krishna has to appear in the form of a fish and he will save that Vedas. Okay. Jnatva tadya danavendrasya Hayagrivasya cheshtitam dharara Safari, Rupam, Bhagavan, Haririshwara. Standing the acts of great demons, Hayagriva, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Hari, who is full of opulence, all opulences, assumed the form of a fish and saved the Vedas by killing the demon. Ekada Kritamalayam Kurvato Jalatarpanam Tasyanjali Udake Kachech Chapari Eka Bhayopadayata. So that is about first. Second time when he incarnated as a will give a favor to King Satyavrata, and at the same time he will give him an instruction to tie the boat which is carrying the rishis, Vedas and all living entities, so that he can save it from the danger. Okay. And who is a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. He was doing his daily prayers and all, and one day he will see a tiny fish which seemed to get caught in his water pot. So he will take that and put it aside. And Satu Tatraika Ratrena Vardhamana Kamandalo Alabdvatvam Avakasam Va Mahim. So one night, so it's next to impossible for any tiny fish to grow such a big. But this the fish here is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Lord Krishna himself. So he grew so much that he could not move his body comfortably. Okay, in the water of the pot. So then he'll speak to the king as follows. So why don't you change me to a bigger body, okay, bigger pot? Okay. So Naham kamandalas asmin kricharam vastu mihotsahe kalpayauka suvipulam yatraham nivase sukham. So, my dear king, I do not like living in this water pot with such great difficulty. Therefore, please find some better reservoir of water where I can live comfortably. So, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead is just saying his request. He is requesting the devotee to shift him to a bigger water body. Okay. Sa enam tata adaya nyadhyat Audanchanodake tatra kshipta muhuritena asyatrayam avardhata. Then taking the fish out of the water pot, the king threw him into a large well, then within a moment, the fish developed to the length of a 3 cubits. It is not fitting even into that well. Okay. So all the pastimes of the Lord is just to make realize that he is dealing with none other than the Lord Krishna. Tata adaya sarajna kshipta rajan sarovare tad avrityatmana soyam mahaminon Mahaminonvavardhada. So Maharaja Parikshit, the king took the fish from well and threw him into a lake, but the fish then assumed a gigantic form exceeding the extent of the water. So it is not even fitting into the lake. Okay. Iti ukta sunyan matsyam tatra vidasini jalahasaye sammitam tam samudre prakshipajhasam. So King Satyavrata took that fish to a largest reservoir of water, that is the ocean. Okay, but when that also proved insufficient, then the king threw it into a gigantic, from the large reservoir of water, that is from the river to, then he will put that fish into a giant fish into an ocean. Okay. Nunam tvam bhagavan saksha dharir narayano vyaya anugraha bhutanam datse rupam jalokasham. So, my Lord, you are certainly the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Narayana, Shri Hari. It is to show your mercy to the living entities that you have assumed the form of a aquatic. Now he realized, see, he's a devotee and the Lord is there with him in the form of fish, but it took him some time to realize that, isn't it? So, unless we open our channels from inside, we cannot visualize the Lord, which is there right in front of us. So the daily sadhana will help us to see him. So what happens once he realized that he is dealing with the Supreme Personality of the Godhead? So then the Lord replied, in 7 days, the world will plunge into a great flood of devastation. Okay, a large boat will come to you. Then now collect all the herbs, plants, trees, seeds, and all kind of animals. Take them and the 7 rishis within you that into that boat. So when the storm rocks the boat, tie that to the serpent Vasuki and to my horn. So do not be afraid. So I will support the boat during the flood and will give you transcendental knowledge. So there's a deep meaning here, hidden here. So whenever we are taking a shelter of Lord Krishna, he will take care of all the insecurities, all the difficulties what we have, and he will help us to navigate from that. Okay. The only thing is that we need to take shelter of Lord Krishna. Trilokyam Lilamanyayam Samvritam Bhasi Vaitada Upastasyati Naukasche Vishalatvam Mayerita. So when all the 3 worlds merge into the water, a large boat sent by me will appear before you. So whenever this situation comes, I will send a boat, arrange for you, and please follow the instructions. What I say, that's what Lord Krishna is saying to King Satyavrata. Dodhuyam manam tvam navan samirena balisyasa upasthitasya me shringe nibadhinhi mahahina. So then, as the boat is tossed about by the powerful winds, attach the vessel to my horns by means of a great serpent Vasuki, for I shall be present by your side. So I'll be there and I'll take care. So try to tie to my horn. That's what Lord Krishna is saying to Satyavrata. Satyavrata did as he was told. In the 7 days, the flood started. There was a terrific storms and the cloud poured water down on the earth. You could no longer see the earth or a heaven. All was water, and the king and the 7 sages sat in the boat in a deep meditation, and Lord, as usual, he took care of them. So no Thyayatastato Rajya Pradurasarin Maharnave Ekashringa Dharo Matsyo Haimo Niyutya Yojana. Then the king, constantly meditating upon Supreme Personality of the Godhead, a large golden fish appeared in the ocean of inundation. The fish had 1 horn and it was 8 millions long. King Satyavrata prayed here as he was previously instructed by Lord. Oh Lord, just as the gold loses its impurity when it comes into contact with the fire, so the living entity loses its ignorance while he worships you. Please give me the knowledge of you and cut the ignorance from my heart. As Satyavrata listened, the Supreme Lord gave him the spiritual knowledge. Purana samhitam divyam sankhya yogam kriyavatim satyavratasya rajarser atma guhyam aseshata. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead thus explains to King Satyavrata the spiritual science known as Sankhya Yoga, the science by which one distinguishes between the matter and the spirit. In other words, the Bhakti Yoga. And along with the instructions contained in the Puranas, that is the whole histories, and the Samhitas, the Lord explained himself in all this literature. Okay, then he will give him a boon. Okay. Ashro Sidrishi Bhisakham Atma Tattvam Asamshayam Navi Ashino Bhagavata Proktam Brahma Sanatanam. By sitting in the boat, the King Satyavrata, along with the great saints, listen to the instructions given by Supreme Personality of the Godhead, and in regard to self-realization, these instructions were all from the eternal Vedic literature, Brahma. Thus, the king and the sages has no doubt about the absolute truth. Okay. Satyavratasya rajarse maya matsyasya sargina samvadam mahadakhyanam shrutva muchyeta kilbishat. Okay, this story concerning the great king Satyavrata and the fish incarnation of Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Vishnu, is the great transcendental narration. Anyone who hears it is delivered from the reactions of the sinful reactions. So, in the next life, he will be born as a Avataram harerio mam kirtayed anvaham nara sankalpastasya siddhyanti sayati paramam gatim. One who narrates the descriptions of Matsyavatara and the king Satyavrata will certainly have all the ambitions fulfilled, and he will undoubtedly return home back to Godhead. And he will be born as a Vaivasvata Manu in his next life. And this is told in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter. So, Imam Vivasvita Lokam. So, the first and second slokas of 4.1 and 4.2 describes about this. When Arjuna inquires, like, to whom you have told this science of this Bhagavad Gita before, then Lord will say, I have told to Manu, then to Ikshvaku and the ancestors and all, but somewhere this connection is lost. That's the reason why I have to appear again. So that Vivaswan, Manu, all those things. Vivaswan is the sun god, and that Vivaswan is there, no? That is the Satyavrata who will be born as a Manu. Okay. So this is about the fish incarnation. First time he'll appear as a Matsya Avatara to save the Veda from the demon called Hayagriva, who was situated in the ocean bed. And fish is the best form to save. The second time he will appear in his devotee's hand as a tiny fish. When the devotee keep him, the Satyavrata will keep him with that. He being a true Vaishnava and great devotee of Lord Vishnu, he will give him a boon by saying that after a week or so, there's going to be a great storm. And I'll tell you, like, try to keep yourself along with our Saptarshis and all living entities, and get onto your board and hook that to my tie to the hook, and you'll be safe from all the devastating conditions, and try to be in a deep meditation. Like that, these are the great devotees who got a direct a message from the God, and definitely these are liberated and went to the transcendental abode of the Lord afterwards. And Satyavrata will be born as a Vaivasvata Manu, and again the Bhagavad Gita has been told to him. So this is the story behind. Whenever there is a rise in religion and there is a loss of dharma, so Lord will appear to re-establish this. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hope it is clear. Any doubts regarding Matsya Avatara? Hare Krishna. Hope I'm clear.
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
Okay.
Mataji.
Bhagavatam reading, it helps, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So next avatara is Kurma avatara. Okay. So seeing this picture, anybody have any thought process? Please give your inputs.
Hare Krishna, it's the churning of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kurma Avatar is also the tortoise, when the Lord takes the tortoise form to stabilize the Mandar Parvat,
Okay.
to do the what's it called now? the stirring up the ocean to find the precious things in the ocean.
Okay. Okay.
Hare Krishna. This is
Hare
the Samudra Manthan,
Yeah.
and 14 jewels came out after the Manthan.
Yes.
On one side, there is the Devtas. On the other side, the Asuras. They are churning the ocean with the help of Vasuki. And there is, I think it's Mount Meru. And it was not stable. Okay, so it was not stable. So Lord came in form of a tortoise, Kurmadev, to stabilize the mount, and they could churn the ocean.
So what will come out of this churning episode?
The churning, there came many Kamdhenu, Mahalakshmi, and Harahar, the poison, and the nectar.
Yes.
Amrit.
So,
Yeah.
what happens when the nectar comes?
It was given to the Devtas. Lord Vishnu came in the form of a lady. I forgot the name.
Mohini.
See, you can see in this picture both Asuras and Asuras are equally fighting for it. Okay, but as per rule, whoever is equally participating given in equal distribution, isn't it? But the moment the the nectar come, these people will snatch away that nectar. Okay, for that act, they will not. They'll be deprived of that. So I think again it's a Maya which Lord Krishna put in their minds. Okay. Let's see into this. Yeah. Suranam adadim matnatam mandarachalam dadre kamatrupena prishta ekadashe vibhu. So the 11th incarnation of the Lord took in the form of tortoise, whose shell served as a pivot for the Mandarachala hill, which was being used as a churning rod by the theist and the atheist of the universe. Okay. So they will start off, but somewhere it will lose its balance. Then he will come as a tortoise form and that will get stabilized. Okay. Hero dadau. Yeah. Hero dadau amaradanava. No, it's totally different meaning. I'll skip this. Yeah, the translation, the primordial Lord then assumed the tortoise incarnation in order to serve as a resting place for the Mandara mountain, which is acting as a churning rod. So both these demons and the demigods, they will churn the milk of ocean and in order to extract the nectar, that is the ultimate purpose. And meanwhile, you'll get so many things. The mountain moved back and forth, scratching the back of Lord Tortoise, who was partially sleeping, was experiencing an itching sensation. Okay. Hiranmayespi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurmatanum Vibranastasya Tat Priyatamam Tanu Arya Vasahavashra Purashai Pitra Ganadipatir Upavaditi Mandrim Umam Kanujapatihi. Sukadeva Goswami continued, in Hiranmaya Varsha, the Supreme Lord Vishnu lives in the form of a tortoise, that is a Kurma Sharira. This is the most dear and beautiful form, is always worshipped there in a devotion service by the Aryama, the chief residents of Hiranmaya Varsha, along with other inhabitants of that land. So, and they chant the following hymns. So, this is that. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Akruparaya Sattva Sarva Sattva Gunaha Visheshanayanu Kalapshitasti Anaya Namo Varshamaneyo Bhume Namo Namaha Varstanaya Namaste. So, O my Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who have assumed the form of a tortoise. You are the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, and being situated entirely untinged by matter. You are perfectly situated in the pure goodness. You move here and there in water, but no one can discern your position. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because of your transcendental position. You are not limited by past, present, and future. You are present everywhere as the shelter of all things, and therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. Okay. So, by churning the ocean of milk, the Ajita produced nectar for the demigods in the form of tortoise. He moved here and there, carrying his pack on the great mountain known as the Mandara. Okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna. I wanted one devotee volunteer to read this. Hare Krishna.
I will try.
Yes, yes.
Oops. While
Durvasa Muni.
yeah, actually the handwriting is a bit too small for me.
Okay.
While Durvasa Muni was passing on the road, he saw Indra on back of his elephant and was pleased to offer Indra a garland from his own neck. Indra, however, being too puffed up, took the garland and without respect for Durvasa Muni, he placed it on the trunk of his carrier elephant. The elephant, being an animal, could not understand the value of the garland, and thus the elephant threw the garland between his legs and smashed it. Seeing the insulting behavior, Durvasa Muni immediately cursed Indra to be poverty-stricken, bereft of all material opulence. Thus the demigods, afflicted on one side by the fighting between demons and on the other side, on the other by the curse of Durvasa Muni, lost all the material opulence in the three worlds. When one is materially when one is materially opulent, he should learn to be sober and well behaved towards Vaishnava and saintly persons. Otherwise, he will fall down.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So here we
Krishna.
have an example of Indra, he's puffed up because of his material opulences, and the Durvasa Muni. He's a very, he get anger very quickly. So he has a temperamental issues and he has cursed many. There are many stories about Durvasa Muni. So, what he will do, he will give a garland, to as a on a good note, he will give to Indra, but Indra being puffed up with the ego, he will just put it on an elephant. Elephant is an animal, it is as usual, it will smash onto the ground, he could not take it. So, the moral from this story is that one may become a materially very opulent, but he should learn to be very sober and well behaved towards the other living entities and especially towards the Vaishnavas. Otherwise, he'll be a fall down. Okay. So the demigods, having been cursed by the Durvasa Muni, were defeated in the battle by the Asuras. Okay. Because they are cursed. When the demigods were deprived of the heavenly kingdom, they went to the assembly of Lord Brahma and informed Lord Brahma of what has happened. Then Brahma, along with all demigods, went to the shore of ocean of milk and offered praise to Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu. Yeah.
Mataji,
Yes.
Mataji, what is the three world it is referring on the Durvasa Muni? On the previous slide, that Durvasa Muni, due to the curse of Durvasa Muni, he lost, Devata Indra lost the opulences in the three world. What is the three world, Mataji?
This one? This?
Yes, Mataji.
Or before one?
Yes, no, it's before.
the heavenly planets, above Earth, you got other planets, no? Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, Brahmaloka, and all those things. So where Devaganas, these demigods will live there. So they will be deprived of all the opulences and everything. So then they will come to the rescue. They'll come to Vishnu, and they are offering the prayers here.
Okay, Mataji. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so because of the prayers offered by demigods, Lord Kshirodakasai Vishnu was pleased with the demigods, and thus he appeared before them. The demigods were almost blinded by this transcendental body effulgence. This picture, I think everybody we can see, like these people are offering obeisances onto the Kshirodakasai Vishnu. At first, therefore, they could not even see any part of his body. And after some time, however, even the Brahma could see the Lord. He, along with other Shiva, began to offer to the prayers. Okay, prayers to the Lord Vishnu. Yeah. So when offered prayers by Shiva and Lord Brahma, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead was pleased, and thus he gave an appropriate instruction to all the demigods. Eka eveshwarastasmin sura karye sureshwara vihattu kamastannaha samudron manthanadbihi. So although the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, the master of all demigods, was capable of performing the activities of the demigod by himself, but he wanted to enjoy the pastimes in churning the ocean. Thus he spoke as follows. Yeah, I wanted one devotee volunteer to read this.
May I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Ajita, unconquerable, advised the demigods to make a peace proposal to the demons, so that after formulating a truce, the demigods and demons could churn the ocean of milk. O demigods, cast into the ocean of milk and all kind of vegetable, grass, creepers, and drugs, then with my help making mandra, mountain and churning rod and basuki, the rope for churning. Churn the ocean of milk with undiverted attention. Many other attractive things would be generated by the churning, but the Lord warned the demigods not to be captivated by such things, nor should the demigods be angry if there were some disturbances. After advising the demigods in this way, the Lord disappeared from the scene. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's see what happens next. Yes. I wanted another devotee volunteer to read this.
May I, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, you can read.
Following the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods established a peace with Maharaj Bali, the king of the demons. Then both the demons and the demigods started from the ocean, taking Mandara mountain with them. Because of great heaviness of the mountain, the demigods and demons became fatigued, and some of them actually died. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, appeared there on the back of his carrier, Garur, and by his mercy, he brought these demigods and demons back to life. The Lord then lifted the mountain with one of his hands and placed it on the back of Garur. The Lord sat on the mountain and was carried to the spot of the churning by Garur, who placed the mountain near the sea. Then the Lord asked Garur to leave that place, because as long as Garur was present, Vasuki could not come there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It was a huge, and the Garuda will help to carry that and put it on the back. And, he has to leave because Vasuki has to come into play for churning and all. So let's see what happens next. Yes. Yes, Sridevi Mataji, you can read this.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare
By
Krishna.
the extra arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons held the snake near the mouth, whereas the demigods held the tail of the great snake. Then, with great endeavor, they began pulling the snake in both directions. Because the churning rod, Mandara mountain, was very heavy and was not held by any support in the water, it sank into the ocean, and in this way, the power progress of both the demons and the demigods was vanquished. Srimad Bhagavatam 8.7.8 Vilokya Vignesa Vitim Tadeshvaro Duranta Viryo Vidada Vishantidi Kritva Vapu Kachavam Adbhutam Mahar Pravishya Toyam Girim Ujahara. Seeing the situation that has been created by the will of the Supreme, the unlimitedly powerful Lord, whose determination is infallible, took the wonderful shape of a tortoise, centered the water, and lifted the great Mandara mountain.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So when they are not able to do this, and the great the Mandara mountain was getting heavier, and it was not held by any support, the Lord will appear in the form of a Kurma Avatara, and he will support the Mandara mountain so that they can start off with the churning process. So there is evidence that Supreme Personality of the Godhead is the supreme controller of everything. It is by his will that there will be there were hindrances, and by his will those hindrances were removed. The Lord appeared as a tortoise to support the great mountain. Kshite iha vipula tare tavatishti prishte. The Lord held the great mountain on his back. Keshavadrita Kurma Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So dangers can be created by the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. They can also be removed by him. Okay. This is known to the devotees, but demons cannot understand it. Yes. Somebody else can read this.
Hare Krishna, may I?
Yes, Mataji.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
When the demigods and demons, Hare Krishna, when the demigods and demons saw the Mandara mountain had been lifted, they were enlivened and encouraged to begin churning again. The mountain rested on the back of the great tortoise, which extended for 800,000 miles like a large island. O king, when the demigod and demons, by the strength of their arms, rotated Mandara mountain on the back of the extraordinary tortoise, the tortoise accepted the rolling of the mountain as a means of scratching his body, and thus he felt a pleasing sensation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, so they have started on this, and initially thought it was a very itchy sensation. Now he's feeling the pleasing sensation. You can see the tortoise here, the Lord is so beautiful, isn't it? The picture is so beautiful. Manifesting himself as with the thousands of hands, and Lord appeared on the summit of Mandara mountain like another great mountain, and held the Mandara mountain with one hand. To balance Mandara mountain, while it was being pulled from both the sides, the Lord himself appeared on his summit like another great mountain. Lord Brahma, Shiva, and King Indra then expanded themselves and showered flowers on the Lord. Okay, this is the Vishwarupa Sandarshan of the Lord here. And when nectar did not come from the ocean of milk, despite so much of endeavor by the best of demigods and demons, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Ajita, personally began to churn the ocean. Okay, let's see what happens next. So now we'll start getting the products out of the ocean milk. Already some devotee volunteers, they have put it in the message box. What all we got? Dhanvantri. Yes, first is the Dhanvantri, we got it. Hare Krishna. Yes, I want a devotee volunteer to read this again.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
As a result of the churning, a huge amount of poison was produced. The Prajapatis, seeing no use to save them, approached Lord Shiva and offered him prayers full of truth. Lord Shiva is called Asutosha because he is if one is a devotee. Therefore, he easily agreed to drink all the poison generated by the churning. The goddess Durga, Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, was not at all disturbed when Lord Shiva agreed to drink the poison, for she knew Lord Shiva's prowess. Indeed, she expressed her pleasure at this agreement. Then Lord Shiva gathered the devastating poison, which was everywhere. He took it in his hand and drank it. After he drank the poison, his neck became bluish. A small quantity of the poison dropped from his hands to the ground, and it is because of this poison that there are poisonous snakes, scorpions, toxic plants, and other poisonous things in this world. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So the poison has been taken by the Prajapati, Lord Shiva. Then the remaining few drops which were fell down on the ground, those became the poisonous things. Okay. After Lord Shiva drank all the poison, both the demigods and demons took courage and resumed their activities of churning. Because of churning, the first Surabhi cow was produced. This is the beautiful Surabhi cow. Then great saintly persons accept this cow to derive clarified butter from its milk and offer clarified butters in oblations for the great sacrifices. Okay. Then Ucheshrava is generated, which is the horse which is taken by Bali Maharaj. Then appeared Airavata, that is a white elephant, and which can go in any direction, and she elephants also appear. Then the gem called Kaustubha gem, which we'll see on the chest of Lord Vishnu. So that will come. After that, Parijata flower and the Apsaras, the most beautiful women in the universe, were generated. Okay. Then comes the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. See, the demigods, sages, Gandharvas then offered the respectful obeisances, worship to the goddess of fortune, and the goddess of fortune could not find anyone to accept as her husband. So she selects Lord Vishnu to be her master, and Lord Vishnu will give her a place everlasting on her, at his chest. Because of this combination, Lakshmi and Narayana, who were all present, including the demigods and people in general, were very pleased. So the demons, however, being neglected by the goddess of fortune, were depressed. Then the Varuni, the goddess of drinking, was generated by the order of Lord Vishnu. The demons accepted her. Okay. So this is the Dhanvantri Avtara, So the demons and demigods, again, they have renewed energy and began to churn again. Then the partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Dhanvantri, appeared. So he is very beautiful, carrying a jug containing a nectar. So the demons immediately snatched the jug from Dhanvantri's hand and began to run away. Okay. And as the demigods, being very morose, they took the shelter of Vishnu. And so let's see what happens next. As some of the devotee told, then the Mohini Avtara will come, and we'll see. So the Lord Vishnu solaced the demigods and not to fight, but to remain silent. And he appears in the Mohini Avtara and the most beautiful women on the universe. So just to entrap these demons with the Lord's beauty, and they, as usual, got attracted to the beautiful personality of Godhead in the Mohini Avtara. And so now they have selected Mohini Avtara, Lord, that she will, mediator, as a mediator to settle down the quarrel, and they will give the snatched away nectar to her, and they say, it's up to you. You can do whatever you wanted to do with this, whether you want to. So we want, if at all we wanted to drink nectar, we will drink. If you are feeding us. So they are so much entrapped in the Maya of Lord, So they have surrendered the nectar to Lord Vishnu. Okay. So taking advantage of the weakness in this regard, Mohini, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, got the demons to promise that whatever the decisions she might give, they would not refuse to accept it. So she'll make them sit, demigods and demons sit in a different line so that she can distribute the nectar. Okay. So, and as we all know, and as well as the Lord knows, that they are unfit to, the demons are unfit to drink the nectar because they snatched it. Okay. Therefore, by cheating from them, she distributed all nectar to the demigod first. So still also they will be under illusion that maybe next year we will be served and all. Okay. So, and the demons saw this cheating of Mohini Murti, they remained silent. They were under impression that they are going to be served next year. Okay. But one demon named Rahu, he dressed himself like a demigod. He will sit in the line made for the demigods. So he will sit beside the sun and the moon. And so here one may ask, like, why the Supreme Personality of the Godhead could not detect Rahu? The reason is that Lord wanted to show the effects of the drinking nectar. Okay. So when Lord understood that, he cut his head, and that is the reason why he'll appear in between when we have solar and the lunar eclipse. Okay. Miss Rahu's head, however, having been touched by the nectar, became immortal. Thus, Lord Brahma accepted Rahu's head as one of the planets. Since Rahu is an eternal enemy of moon and the sun, he is always tried to attack them in the nights of full moon and the dark moon. Okay. After the demigod finished drinking the nectar, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead assumed his own form. Okay. The time, the place, the cause, the purpose, the activity and ambition were all same for both the demigods and demons. But the demigods achieve one result and the demons other, because the demigods are always under the shelter of Lord's lotus feet. They could easily drink the nectar and get the results. The demons, however, not having sought the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, were unable to achieve the result they have desired. So that is so people who take the shelter of the word God are called as they have all the qualities of demigods, and people who fail to take the shelter of the God are considered to be demons. So, O King, after the Supreme Personality of the Godhead has brought the completion of affairs of churning the ocean and feeding the nectar to the demigods who are his dear devotees, he left the presence of them all and carried with the Garuda to his own abode. Okay, so chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the Avatara of Kurma Avatara is an incarnation of the Lord, which just came to stabilize the Manthara mountain, and subsequently he will take the Mohini Avatara to give justice to the nectar which is obtained out of the Manthara mountain churning, and the justice is that it should be given to the devotees who are surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, that is the demigods, and the demons could not get the benefit because they are not devoted to the Lord and they haven't surrendered to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Any doubts? Anything you wanted to ask?
Hare Krishna Mataji, one question.
Yes.
Why is it there is, I think it must be Kurmadev in all Shiv temples. It's found between the Shivling and the Nandi.
No.
It's not Kurmadev?
No. No,
No?
Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, any doubts? Anything to ask? I think we have completed 2 avatars. These are the beautiful descriptions from Srimad Bhagavatam. Once you read this, when you're personally reading this, you will feel even more intense pleasure. Okay. So next week we'll come with the 2 more avatars. Okay. Meanwhile, just we'll close the session for today. Pancha kalpatarubhya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, participants, for your active participation. See you all next Monday. at 8 p.m. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, thank you, Mataji.
You.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Do we sign in for attendance or?
No, attendance is only for 6 weeks. Then it is just,
Oh,
you have to
okay.
attend on your own. Okay.